Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to a special presentation, a special conversation that we're about to have. My brother Jimmy Mack and myself. You know him from Who Made Y'all Priests, which is a dope podcast getting ready to kick off their second season here real soon. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then you guys know me from our podcast, Church After Hours, with my brothers Kurt, Barry, and my brother Johnny J. And we're about to kick off our season in about 3 weeks. Myself and Mac had a great experience that we went on together this past month in Panama, and we're going to basically just talk about our experience with plant medicine. And before we get into that, Mac, how you been doing, brother?
Man, I've been good, man. I've been good. Just celebrated my 44th birthday on the 9th of September. So I kind of had this crazy idea that, the day after I wanted to start this 21 all liquid fast. So it's kicking my butt a little bit right now, but man, I'm feeling good, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, brother. I just got back from Cincinnati as well. We celebrated my cousin Val's birthday last weekend in Chicago, and then yesterday we celebrated my cousin Nikki's birthday. She turned 40, so she had a nice party, and I just got back this evening for that. So just excited and ready to dig into this conversation because people have been asking you and I about this trip. Some information we've shared with certain people, but we haven't had a chance to share it with everybody. So we wanted to just make something so people can learn from our experience and we can have an opportunity to share with them. And hopefully it opens up a dialogue and people may consider doing plant medicine at some point in time. So, hey, man, let's just dig right into it.
Absolutely. Let's get it.
So myself, Mac, our sister Rhythm, and our brother Brian, my cousin in Chicago, we went to Panama this past August. And it was a retreat with Dr. Aries Latham. Shout out to Dr. Aries and all the brothers and sisters in Panama. And our retreat was to go with him, because I've been before. We went with him about 9 years ago in Costa Rica when he was in Costa Rica. So it was to basically go through workshops, taste, and create some raw food cuisine. One day we even did a liquid fast where we just drank juices and coconut water. And when my friend said, let's do this again, we was like, yo, we going to Panama. That's his new location. Let's look at and see if Doc knows somebody that can administer an ayahuasca ceremony, aka celebration. So we was like, cool. So anybody that knows Dr. Latham know he don't mess with nothing cooked. And anybody that knows ayahuasca, it has to be cooked, you know what I'm saying, before you can drink it. So he's like, I don't mess with it. You know what I'm saying? We can do a cacao ceremony, which we'll talk about later. But I know some cats that can take care of y'all with the ayahuasca. So to make a long story short, we set up the trip. We set up the ceremony. So let's just start right when we got to Panama. The first day we got there, which was on a Monday afternoon, Dr. Latham greeted us, took us to his spot, and we had dinner. And we had dinner with the two gentlemen that was administering the ceremony. And Mac, talk about that encounter and all of the questions and some of the things that we was able to talk about with those gentlemen leading up to our ceremony, which was that Friday.
Well, to back up just a little bit,
okay,
I would be remiss if we didn't add in the fact that we had talked about doing ayahuasca. This was kind of like a COVID baby, right?
Yes, yes.
We had started talking about this, like, man, we need to do ayahuasca. We all reading up and watching YouTube videos and different things about people's experience with ayahuasca. So we like, man, we got to do it. So we kind of dumped it on your lap, like, yo, D, figure that
out. right. You and my cousin, exactly.
Yeah, we were like, hey, D, figure that out. Like,
right.
We know you got some connects. And then it kind of came full circle around when, we brought it up again, like, yo, D, where you at with that? And you had talked to a couple of people, and then you were like, man, let me ask Doc if he knew anything about it.
Right.
So Doc, of course, found some people, and that's how we went. So that day we had the orientation to, it was Diego and what's the other guy's name?
I forget his partner name. I've been sitting here thinking, I forget his partner's name, but Diego was the main person leading the ceremony and the orientation.
Right. So we had raw foods, obviously, because we were Doc. And, the four of us, Diego, his partner, and Doc, we kind of had a discussion. And they kind of laid out to us kind of how it was going to go. So we kind of knew what to expect. So the first thing he said, though, because I was worried about the taste. That was the thing that in my research that kept coming up, like, it is disgusting.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I ain't even going to be able to experience it because if it's disgusting, I ain't going to be able to get it down.
Right.
But that's when he had told us they have a concentrated form. So it's just going to be like a shot glass worth. So I'm like, okay, even if it's disgusting, I can get down to shot glass worth. So he talked about that. And then he talked about that the effect wasn't going to be so much of a psychedelic effect because of the specific type of blend. So it's like anything else. Not to compare to those different things like weed, for instance, because I mean, it's kind of the same as a plant, but a little bit different. But how weed has a whole bunch of different blends. They all do different things depending on the blend. So same thing with ayahuasca, the specific blend that they had, it wouldn't have so much a psychedelic effect. So there wouldn't be so much of us seeing things.
Exactly.
You know, we may hear voices. It's just us kind of seeing ourselves. That's kind of was the effect of it. But he said that we could potentially, though, still see things.
Right.
So he walked us through that and kind of the setup and things of that nature. Now, I have done rapé. That's a plant medicine. And I know
let me pause you right there because we on the same wavelength. If you haven't seen or watched the episode or listened to the episode of Who Made Y'all Priests, where Jimmy talks about his rapé experience, you gotta watch it. Get some tissue because you're gonna be crying laughing. But go ahead. I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah. So I've done rapé before that about 3 different times. I've had 3 different blends, right? So I know that a lot of ceremonies where you'll do rapé before you actually do the ayahuasca. And it's a plant medicine, it's tobacco. And again, it's a different blend depending on what they're trying to do.
Right.
And it's in a powder form. And they put it in this pipe and then they blow on the pipe. They put the end in your nostril and they'll blow into it, right? So I asked them specifically, I said, hey, are we going to be doing, rapé as a part of this ceremony? So he told us, he said, we'll have it there, but we usually only do it as if you're having a hard time coming down. So we use it to bring you down. I said, okay, cool. I can appreciate that. But it was real informative. Again, just kind of going over the process and kind of some things that we can expect. But they kept reiterating that it's different for everybody. So everybody's going to have a different experience.
Absolutely. And that was a great orientation / just discussion because even before Diego and them got there, we had a great discussion with Dr. Latham talking about how he started, becoming a fruitarian, how he stopped eating animal flesh when he was a student in New York in college back in the late 60s during the movement. So that whole day, our first few hours there was just super dope, having a discussion with Doc and then having an orientation with these guys, kind of letting us know what to expect. We had a lot of questions, and I still have that session on tape, and I always go back and listen to it from time to time. So let's fast forward a little bit. So that's Monday. We take the ferry and go to the island that we stayed on, and then Doc is doing his thing, making us the raw cuisine. We're meeting great people like Mar and all the people that was already there because Doc has a whole compound set up where it's different people there doing different things. Our brother, what is his name? Kamari is the brother's name?
Yeah. From Brazil.
From Brazil. Kamari and his ladies there, and he's getting his certification. So he's, getting his certifications to become a certified raw chef under Sunfire Foods. So we have an opportunity to meet them, make some food, make some acquaintances, and just having a good time. So as we get closer and closer to Friday night, we still have more questions, and we're talking now amongst each other because Diego and his partner live in Panama City, and they're not coming on the island that we're staying on until Friday morning. So we just have great conversations that whole week. We're eating great fruit, fresh fruit. So our mental state is in a good place. So leading up to Friday, Mac, talk about how you was feeling the day of, because we talked about that moment leading up to it, but share with the people on some of the things that you were thinking and what your process was going to be like as you started thinking about what was going to take place that night.
Well, first of all, the first thing is that you and I had agreed to only do liquids, right?
Yes.
We were only going to do liquids, make sure we already eating raw food. We already been doing it for what, 4 or 5 days at this point.
At that point, yeah.
So D was like, yo, I'm just gonna do, all liquids to get good and flushed out and be ready for it.
And the reason not to cut him off, if you talk to different people or you've seen different people testimonies with ayahuasca, they're talking about purging as far as throwing up, vomiting, as well as defecating on themselves. So me and Mac, we was roommates the whole week. So that's the main thing we talked about. Like, man, I ain't come all the way over here to shit on myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So absolutely. That was our thing. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. So that's why we were gonna do the all liquids.
Yeah.
But if y'all know D, man, y'all know he do wild stuff. I mean, 30 days, 60 days, all liquids, all of that. Man, give me 3 days all raw, I'll be complaining. You know what I'm saying? So the day of, Doc got a nice little spread. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to hop off of this. I'm gonna have to give me some of the other stuff Doc got going on. But for me, it's just, I was really trying to imagine what it is that I was going to experience. And I was really trying to manifest things. Like, I had things that I wanted to find out or discover, or experiences that I wanted to have. Like, one of the things for me is I wanted to tap into that divine feminine side of myself. I wanted to kind of really unravel that part. I wanted to hear from my ancestors. I wanted to see, so when he said it's not really a visual, I was a little disappointed, because like, I wanted to see, my great grandmama,
right,
come down and be like, hey, boy, you need to do this, that, and the other.
Right.
I wanted to see the burning bush, and I wanted
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I'm just visualizing like what it's going to be, and I'm kind of putting it out there, praying on it, like, this is the experience that I want to have.
Right.
But yeah, it kind of was. What's funny is that it was the day for me kind of slowed down.
Yes, it did. It did.
Like, it took a long time for 7 o'clock that rolled around. Like, it was a long day. Spent a lot of day at the beach, in the ocean, sunbathing that whole night. But it really felt like time was stood still.
That was the longest day of the week by far.
By far.
Yep.
Absolutely. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yep. So just to set up this moment for y'all. So now we're there. It's Friday. It's Friday evening. And just to kind of let you guys know, this island we're staying on, it's only 5 square miles. So you really can walk from one end to the other in a matter of 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how fast you walk. So we're staying kind of where we're situated is we got a condo where we're staying like right in the middle of the island. And we're doing the ayahuasca ceremony at one of Doc's other condos / house, which is right beginning point of the island where you kind of get off the ferry to come on, which is right next to his store. If you guys seen the pictures of his store, we did the ayahuasca ceremony at this house right behind his store. So myself, Brian, Rhythm, Mar, our sister Mar, and Diego and his partner, and then they brought a young lady, which was good. And I want to talk about that. Rhythm was the only lady that was with us. So they wanted to bring a lady to help her if she was having some difficulties, or just to have another woman's presence there, which I thought was genius. At first, I was like, man, who's this new lady? She wasn't at the orientation. Why is she there? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But once they explained it to us, we kind of understood. So we're at the restaurant, have our last meal, we get our stuff, and we walk up to Doc's house. So I'm going to set it up, and then I'm going to throw an alley-oop to Jimmy. So we get there, we sit down, we start talking. We kind of almost had another impromptu orientation because the young lady wasn't there and Mara wasn't there Monday when we had it in Panama City. So we have a great conversation. And the first thing Diego says is the first thing we're going to do, this is a little bit after 7, we're going to drink the leaf of the ayahuasca plant, which doesn't have the DMT in it. It's just like a tea, like a herbal blend tea, which tastes like nothing. It was just like some regular tea. We drank a cup of that, and then I'll let Mac take it from there.
Well, even to go a little bit before then, right? The place, because like you said, Doc had like seven different cribs, right? On this very small island. So we went to one of them. Now, so the funny part is myself and Brian brought these like cots, right? They like fold out, right?
Yes.
So we want to be comfortable. We like, man, if we need to lay down or whatever, we brought these cots, right? So it's 5 square miles, so it ain't that big of a deal, right?
No.
But so it's like I feel like it gets dark there early.
It does, because it's their winter time over there. So
Right.
absolutely. It's absolutely.
So it get dark early. When we get there, right? It's like the Wayans brothers, how they used to have like them spoofs of the scary movie.
Yes.
Right? That's how it looked when we walked up to the thing. I said, oh no, this is wild. This is like a scary movie setup.
The joint was fenced in. I had the key. We going in. You know
right. D couldn't get the key to work at first.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? It was a iron fence with the little thing over top of it. It was looking wild, right?
Right.
It's dark already. So we go in there, and then they each give us a bag. Like, you know what I'm saying? They got paper towel, like you got to throw up or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So we're in there, and then I see the self-administered pipe is called a Karupe for rapé. I forget the name of the one where somebody administered it to you, but I see that on the table. And he was like, "Oh yeah, we doing rapé." I said, "Uh-oh. Which
was the audible, because we did not talk about that."
Yeah, it was a for real audible. So I was like, "Oh no." We get the tea, like D was saying. And now me, like, I've never like been a drinker or, you know, smoker or anything like that. So I drink the tea. I'm feeling nice.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Some other people in there who, you know, they like, oh, it's weak, man. I felt good. I said, oh, like I was real calm and mellow.
Right.
And then they had the guitars there. They was like, you know, we gonna get into a little jam session and stuff like that. I said, okay, this is gonna be interesting.
Right.
And then another audible they threw in there is when the facilitator said they were gonna do ayahuasca with us.
With us, yep.
So I'm like, so everybody about to be high. I said, how the designated driver's gonna be high? Like,
right.
So that's cool. So yeah, man, when we got the tea was real mellow, and everybody just sitting out there. We kind of just talking, you know, about, you know, ayahuasca. They're talking to us about the tea and, you know, what it is and, you know, what part of the planet comes from and the whole nine. So at this part, like I said, I'm feeling real good. You know, like, who was it? Was it R. Kelly said, I ain't drunk, but I'm real nice?
Yeah. He was real nice.
Yeah, that's how I was. I was like, okay, I'm cooling. You know what I'm saying? So
and just to let y'all know, those other people that wasn't feeling that way, that was me, Brian, and William. He was by himself. He's like, yo, this is just tea. Like, he got a little buzz off of it. We didn't. So we was just chilling. So like he said, he's absolutely correct. We having conversations, continuously talking about what's about to happen, what we expect, the whole 9 yards. And then, as Max said, Diego hits us with an audible like Peyton Manning. You know what I'm saying? he running a different play that we did not talk about in the huddle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now we come to the point where it's been an hour since we drank the tea. It's about 8:15. Now he's like, we're gonna do rapé, and then about 9 o'clock, another hour, we're gonna do ayahuasca. So now we get the rapé out. And now at this point, I'm gonna be honest. This is where I get a little worried, because again, I'm a diligent listener of Who Made Y'all Priests, and I'm thinking back to his experience with rapé and how he was bugging out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking like, oh my God, what are we into? So now we about to do rapé. So what happens next, Mac?
So I have to say this, man. Women are definitely much stronger.
Absolutely.
Right. When people talk about strength, they talk about physical strength, right?
Yes.
So yeah, physically, men are much stronger. Outside of that, women got it hands down.
Yep.
So,
which is why I always argue with black feminists that y'all are the stronger and greater species to me. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead. That's another discussion.
Absolutely. So Rhythm being, you know, well, there was another woman that came later, but Rhythm was a part of our original group.
Right.
So Rhythm goes first, right? So when I tell you, so listen to the podcast about what I talk about rapé. Who Made Y'all Priests? It's available everywhere podcast.
Yep.
You can see how crazy I went. They easily gave me, I had a little bit, you know, in that podcast. A little bit more than what I was supposed to do my first time, but it still was a little bit. I'm watching them pack that thing up, and I'm like, whoa, right? So what they do is they take the powder and the rape, and they put it in there. Again, it's tobacco from the Amazon. They pack it in there, and it's a long tube, and they start off with the left nostril. They put it in your nose, and then they blow in it, and it goes up in your nose, right? Man, again, I've done it 3 times. So I'm sitting there watching, like, oh, I can't wait. They hit rhythm with it. Boom. Rhythm, she take it like a G. I'm like,
G.
I'm like, maybe it's some weak, maybe it's some mid. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
they might have some Reggie. You know what I'm saying? Then, she feeling it though. She's reacting, but it's still, again, if you had that experience, she took it like a G.
Yeah.
So then they hit her with the next nostril, right? Boom. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, I do not want to do this because I'm not right. It. But it is what it is. So then Brian goes next. Man, they hit Brian with it. Poof, on the left nostril. Out of there.
Out of there. And we got permission to talk about this from them, y'all. So don't trip, man. If y'all see B, tell them it's all love.
Man,
you know what time it is.
Out of there.
Out of there.
Immediately in the bathroom. It's coming out both ends, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's only one nostril.
Right.
Right. So he come back out. They wait. You know,
like you got to get this other dose, Playboy.
Right. They chilling. Like, come on, get the other one, right? Do it again. Other nostril. He out of there. So now I'm sweating. Right.
Now let's pause the story right there. He's sweating. We see he's explained to a T what happened with Brian and Rhythm. Now he's the OG when it comes to rape of us that went on this trip together. Now he's worried. So my level of worry goes up. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, hold on, man. Like, you supposed to be the pillar of strength for us right now. But go ahead.
Right. So D look at me like, hey, your turn, go ahead and go. I'm like, all right. So I go. Dude is packing that thing in there. And I'm like, man, I already know
not to cut Jimmy off again, but I'm glad he's mentioned something because it's going to come up even more when we get to the ayahuasca part. We had an order, and Diego said, whatever order we start in, that's the order we got to go in when we go to each one. So Rhythm went first, Brian went second, he went third, and then I went fourth. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you good. So he packing that thing, and I'm looking at him with the mean mug, like, serious? Like, it was cool when you did it with them.
Right. Why you doing me like this?
But I know what time it is. So he packed that thing out, right? Whew. Hit me with the left nostril. Man, I can't breathe. It feel like somebody done not choke me, but reach their hand in my mouth and put their hand over so I can't breathe.
Yep.
Right? It's hitting me all in my brain. You know what I'm saying? My brain done got zapped and buzzing. And I'm just like, yo, eyes watering the whole nine. Now, I wait for a minute. Like, I don't go back for the right nostril right away. Like, y'all gonna have to hold off.
Like, Brian took a minute, but Jimmy took a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Like, you know, in boxing or UFC, you get hit in the nuts, and you got like a certain length of time that you could just hold off.
Right.
Like, usually people be like, nah, I'm tough. I'm good. Let me come back in. Nah, I took all my time.
All of it.
Like, hell no. Nah. So D over looking at me like, what the hell?
My worry was on an 8. After that, my worry went to like a 12. I'm super worried now. But I'm like, I'm over here with my friends. I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? I got them over here. I set this trip up, as Max said. I got to do it. But go ahead.
Man, so finally I go back and they hit me with the right nostril. Now, here's the thing. Side note, the first time, as you were here in the podcast episode I only did the one nostril the first time I did.
Yes.
I didn't get past one. Like, I was out of there. I'm like, I'm good. right? I'm good. And I used an amount that was probably a quarter of what they did in each nostril.
Right.
Total. You know what I'm saying? So I go back, they do the next one. Man, I'm out of there. I can't stand up. I got to sit down. My brain on fire. I'm sweating. Then I do this thing where I start laughing.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
I do that every time. I don't know what it is, but I get weak. I mean, like laughing, like comedy show.
You'd have thought Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor was all in there telling jokes, man. Dude was had me weak, but yeah.
I just get weak, but I'm in there. I'm hot. I'm sweating, and I'm like, man, oh, I ain't feeling right. So now it's D's turn.
All right, so let me tell my turn. And I know he gonna interject. So now it's my turn, and I'm like, oh man. And mind you, they give us these bags. Rhythm, Brian, Mac at this point, they're spitting out phlegm, mucus is coming out. So I'm just looking at this whole scene like, yo, this is crazy. My man who's done it 3 times already, he's really having the most traumatic experience at that point. So like I said, my worry level went from an 8 to a 12.
Now I'm gonna get at the Brian though. Brian had the most traumatic experience. Mine wasn't too far from here.
Oh yeah, y'all was twin brothers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was fraternal twin brothers. So I give you that. So Diego get to me. So my mindset is, man, let me just do this and get it over with, man. Like I ain't gonna prolong it. Mac was taking. Mac was like a double dutcher. He was ready to go in and out. I'm like, man, just go ahead and get me. So Diego comes. He hit that first left nostril. Now I'm standing up. Mac explained what it felt like to him, which it did feel that way to me, but this is my analogy. You know how you're a little kid and you first jump in the pool and you get too deep down in there and you feel like you're about to drown and your nose start burning and your eyes start watering? That's what it felt like to me. So I'm like, oh, snap, I can't breathe. And again, the whole night, the theme of ayahuasca ceremony for me is my higher self versus my lower self. I'm having a conversation like I done brought my friends over here and we about to die. You know what I'm saying? I can't breathe. Rhythm is like, she's like, breathe through your mouth. And thank God for Rhythm and the feminine energy. Like she really calmed me down. She's like, breathe through your mouth. I'm trying to breathe through my nostrils. So I calm down and I'm like, yo, this is the worst shit ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is horrible. So I told Diego, just go ahead and hit my right one. Let's just get it over with.
Let me interject real quick.
Okay.
That, though, okay. When I say he couldn't breathe, they had him out there like Jesus on the cross. Like,
right.
He had one person on each arm. He like, and I couldn't even enjoy it because I'm out there toe up.
Right. He ain't lying. He absolutely correct. He absolutely right. I was like this. But so I tell Diego, man, go ahead and hit this right nostril and get it over with. So me knowing what to expect now, he hit the right nostril. It still felt like I was drowning, but I kept breathing through my mouth and I was cool. So we sit down. Everybody's sitting down. Again, Mac told you he had the extreme case of the giggles. You know what I'm saying? Brian is going through it. He's spitting in his bag like crazy. Miss G spitting in her bag. I spit in my bag a little bit. I wasn't spitting in my bag that much. So then Diego say, we just go chill. The next move we gonna make is in another hour, we go hit this ayahuasca. So what happened after that, Jimmy?
Well, what happened for me is me and Brian we was tag team in the bathroom.
Yes, they was.
Cause man, my stomach was like, so I'm in there in the toilet tearing it up. Like I said, at that point for Brian, it's coming out both ends. He out there getting it. And like they all having conversations after I come out of the bathroom, and I'm done for it. Like I'm not having no conversation. I'm sitting there in between doing this and then leaning back. I'm trying to find somewhere to get comfortable, but I'm not talking.
Right.
I'm not, no expression on my face. I'm like, man, I am toe up. I am like high, and I keep having the bubble guts and go to the bathroom. Mind you, we eating raw food for the whole week.
The whole week.
Where this stuff is coming out of? I mean, it's pulling stuff from like 3 months ago.
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't even know where all this is coming from. I ain't even eat nothing like that. So
right.
So that's how I'm spending my time. Brian is laid out on his cot.
Right.
You know, he, like I said, I got my cot over the thing. I didn't mess with my cot at this point because I can't even move. I'm doing very slight movement, like I said, either from leaning forward or going backwards. And they all kind of having conversations. Me and Brian out of there. We checked out. We just like, we ready for this to end. We wait for them to say it's time to go home.
Right. Exactly. So the hour passes, and now it's time for the main event. You know what I mean? The tea was like a appetizer. You know what I'm saying? The rape was like a pre-main course meal. Now we about to get the full course meal. And Diego, Mac talked about when Diego told us that we was getting a concentrated shot. If you look online, you'll see some people have like a coffee mug or tea mug size of ayahuasca. Because ours was so concentrated, we didn't have as much. It was like a shot glass. It was probably equivalent to like a double or triple shot of liquor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, we going in the same order. He called Rhythm in. Rhythm go, take her shot like a G. He called Brian in. Brian take his shot like a G. Now, this is where it gets sticky because this man tries to switch up the order. And this is why I told y'all to pay attention to the order. He like, nah, D, you go ahead. I'm looking at Diego. I'm like, nah, man. Diego said we stand in the same order. Like, nah, you go. So Mac goes, and I'm gonna let him tell his experience when he took his.
Now,
his
here's
drink.
the thing. This is not my friend. This is my brother. We go back
since high school. Yes.
And then we went to the same college together. Like, we go back as kids, right?
Yep.
Now, the way he said, I said, you go ahead and go, is exaggeration. Because I ain't even had that much energy. Like, when I tell you I'm for real out of there, I'm out of there. So I was just like, yo, D, you know what I'm saying? You go ahead and go.
No, you're right. He was kind of real smooth and subtle with it. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, he said, no. Nah, he said it is exactly how he said it. Nah, he said, go in order.
Right,
like,
right.
For real? Like, do you not see me?
Right.
Like, I'm knocking on death's door. Like, what you mean? Keep the order. I was asking you to go buy me another 2 minutes.
A couple more minutes, right? Oh, this is
so Diego says, come on, you ready? And I want to say, no, I'm good.
Right.
So I get up and I go there, got my bag in my hand, and I go up there and I bend over, put my hands on my knees. Then I stand back up, and then I'm earling. I'm got that bag. It's coming.
You're purging already. Yep.
Purging. Now, throwing up to me is probably the single worst thing that can happen to a person.
I concur.
Like, I hate throwing up. And I haven't thrown up probably since I went vegan. So almost 10 years, I ain't thrown up. So like, that's a harsh, distant memory for me at this time. And I'm just going and going and going, right? So I get done. And I did feel better. So here's Diego with a big old smile. Arms out, gives me a hug. Now, here's a mistake that I made that haunted me for the rest of the night. I should have got some water, whisked it around in my mouth a little bit, and you know, spit it out and did all of that.
Cleans your palate.
I should have cleansed my mouth. So I got throw up in my mouth, throw up tape. And now I'm about to take a shot of this ayahuasca. Double shot, triple shot, like he said. So I'm really struggling though. Like, all right, cool. Hit me with it. Even after I threw up, I'm still like, I feel like extremely weak, right? So he gave me the shot. I took it. And then that's when I realized I had made the mistake. Like, this is disgusting. I got throw up and taste in my mouth. Oh, this is going to be rough. So I go back and sit down. I'm still feeling terrible, right? And then that's when I go, Brian on his cot. My cot is right next to his. We got some fans now blowing there because it was hot.
Yeah, we that house that Doc had had AC units inside the bedrooms. It wasn't one in the living room, so we had fans from different angles that kept the room pretty cool. But yeah, he's right. It was definitely hot that night.
Yeah. So at this point, I go lay down. find me a comfortable spot, and I'm out of there for a minute.
Out. So it's my turn to go. I go, and for those that have never had ayahuasca, depending on what type of brew you have, I'll explain Diego's brew. Like I said, it was a double, triple shot. It was really thick. Is almost kind of remind me of some like cough syrup that your grandma or mother used to give you back in the day. It was real thick. It was purple, and it almost had like a Swedish type taste to it, but it had a little, I can't explain the other taste that was in it. It was sweet and thick, but it had another taste that was kind of wrapped up in it. So I took my shot, knocked it down, and again, Mac is right. Brian is laying on one cot, Mac is laying on the other cot closest to me. I'm sitting in a chair, a little like mini, fake recliner, just sitting back, relaxing. Like, okay, here we go. What can we expect? So Diego was like, y'all just chill and let's just see what happened. Mind you, Mac is right. They had guitars, they had little instruments, and then Diego also had his Bluetooth where he was playing like different little soft music to kind of like get us in the mood and set the tone. And then we just started waiting. So I'll let Matt continue the story from there before I talk about my personal experience.
Yeah, so from there, Diego starts playing the guitar. The other guy, I swear I wish I knew.
I'm sorry we can't think of his name.
Right. He started playing the guitar. Then Mar started dancing. Because Mar also, she did rapé and the ayahuasca.
That's our sister. She's from Chile. That was already there. She's helping Dr. Latham with his book. So, and she did it with us because she did ayahuasca before. So she was kind of like our guide, kind of helping us. We didn't talk about Mar, but she was kind of helping us and telling us what her experiences was like in the past leading up to that night. So yeah, you absolutely correct.
Yeah, because she had done it, I think she
like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. So she's had multiple different experiences in multiple different places. So yeah, so they're playing the guitar or whatever. Now I remember at this point, before I was all the way out, I'm like, D, get on them drums.
Right.
They had some drums.
They did. They had congos and drums and bongos. Yep.
Yeah, because we had talked about that at the orientation, actually.
Yes.
And you had told them that you played the drums. So they had all that there. And I'm like, D, get on them drums, man. And D chilling. And after that, like I said, they playing the guitar. Diego is singing as well as playing. And then I go out for a minute. I don't know how long I was out.
Right.
But when I came to, it had turned into the guitar playing and all that had turned into Rap City.
Yeah. Right. And before we go there, I'm gonna talk about my experience because it took me a minute because I'm worried about my friends now. I'm worried about my cousin B. I'm worried about Mac. Me and Rhythm is like Matt called me like a serial killer. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. He's definitely a serial killer the way he took that.
So I'm worried about them. So again, I'm having that constant battle with my higher self, lower self, like, yo, like I can't really enjoy the experience because I'm worried about my brother and my cousin making sure they all right. And then once they pass out, me and Rhythm like, okay, cool. Let's just relax and enjoy this moment. And Diego's like, man, just enjoy the experience, go with the flow. So I'm sitting in my chair, and I told this story to my family and friends. I'm gonna share it with everybody else, and I shared it with Mac that next day when we woke up that morning when we went back to our spot. So I'm sitting in the chair, and it's funny because Mar said that when she closed her eyes, she was seeing colors that she had never seen, like colors that she couldn't even explain.
Right.
My experience was somewhat similar. It was colors that I had seen. It wasn't no colors that I had never seen, but they were so vivid and so clear. And the next thing you know, it's like I'm falling asleep. And the next thing you know, I wake up in my grandparents' house in Chicago, in an area of town called Roseland. I'll never forget my grandmother and grandfather's house, 308 East 119th Street. So I'm sitting in the chair looking at my younger self. I gotta be like 7 or 8 years old at this moment. My grandma's block is empty. Nobody's on the block. It's just me on this bright sunny day. I'm seeing these beautiful white clouds, this beautiful white sky. Blue sky. The sun is so vivid. Everything is just perfect. It's like the perfect day. So I'm just running around my grandma's front yard, just playing by myself, just chilling. And then I start hearing like voices like remember him, like go back to him. When you have doubts in life, go back to him. You know what I'm saying? Don't run away from your youth. Don't run away from that person who helped you develop into the person you are now. And I was just like, wow, like this is weird. And leading up to the ayahuasca ceremony, I kept telling myself, like, I want to have some type of experience in my youth. And I would hear people talk about they had certain traumas they wanted to get over. And I really didn't have, really any traumas in my life that I felt like I needed to overcome. But I did want to be able to have some type of experience with my childhood. And this is exactly what was happening. So I wake up and Rhythm is up. Mac and Brian are still out. Mara is still dancing in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Diego comes over and his friend, I can't think of his name because I'm sorry, because this is the part of the story to where it was just super magical for me. So we sitting there talking and he's like, "You all right? You woke up?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I just had a beautiful experience in the vision." And then he was like, "Wow, talk about the vision." He's like, "But before we talk about the vision," he's like, "I want to share something with y'all. I'm a big lover of 90s hip hop and I want to play a song for you and for Rhythm." And I was like, "Well, what's the name of it?" He's like, "I'm just gonna play it. I ain't gonna tell you the name of it." So he plays the song. The song is from a group on the West Coast called Far Side, and the song is called "Can't Keep Running Away." So as soon as he hits, play on his phone and the song comes out, I start crying. And then he's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nah, just let it play." And I'll tell y'all. So I'm sitting there crying, tears coming down my eyes. And then I was like, "Yo, that's one of my favorite songs, this, that, and the third." I said, "But bigger than that," I said, "My whole vision was about me not running away from my inner child, like running towards that child, like, aim to please that kid, aim to find that joy in life that you had as a kid." And then he started crying. So it was just a crazy experience. So then this time, Diego is like, "Man, let's just jam out. Let's start jamming." This is where Mac and Brian start waking up. So I'm like, "Forget it. I'm feeling great." I grabbed the drums, the little bongo. He had a stick. So I'm playing, Diego and his boy playing a guitar. And then I told Rhythm, I said, "Rhythm, kick something for him," because Rhythm is a spoken word artist as well as a rapper. She has a group that she used to be in called Poetry back in the day. So Rhythm starts spitting some spoken word, and they are amazed by how good I can play this drum and how well Rhythm is actually rapping and spitting her spoken word pieces. So at this time is when Mac and Brian start waking up, like, "Oh, like you said, we're in the middle of Rap City, the basement." You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I'll let him take it away from there.
What's funny is that I open my eyes and I look at Brian face down on the cot, beating.
Yeah, that's true. It's like he was asleep,
Yeah.
drumming with me.
Right.
Absolutely.
I said, "Okay, bro, I see you trying to get it." And I really don't open my eyes. I just keep my eyes closed and I just listen. I'm listening to them, doing a thing. And then, like you said, D getting busy on them drums, Rhythm going hard. I'm like, okay. I ain't doing too much rocking because, you know what I'm saying? At this point, I feel like I got to throw up again. So I'm trying to keep it chill, but I am enjoying whatever they doing.
Right.
But like I was saying, I feel like I got to throw up. And like I said, I hate throwing up. It's the absolute worst thing ever.
Right.
So I'm in there like, "Man, please don't throw up, man. Please don't throw up. Just breathe, man. Just breathe slowly, man. Please don't throw up." And then as I'm saying this to myself, I hear a voice that says,
I can't stand this dude.
I hear a voice say, "You have to let it go. You have to let it go. You're holding on to a lot of emotion and you have to let it go." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to throw up though. I'm going to tell you that."
Right.
And then again, the voice is like this, that calm, and it's saying, "You have to stop trying to control everything. You got to learn to let it go. You got to let go of the emotion." Now, a little background, I am initiated priest of Ifa. And a constant reading that I get is that I'm overly masculine and I have to learn to tap into my divine feminine. So this is what the voice is telling me.
Right.
And it's telling me that I have to let go of the emotions from the past. I have to basically feel the emotions and let the emotions go so that I can move forward. And part of that was, again, that control, always trying to control everything. I got to let go of that control. And it's so calm. And I can hear the two voices between the calm voice telling me what I need to do. And then the other voice like, "Nah, you can't throw up. You can't throw up." And every time I butt in with that, it comes back and says, there you go.
Yep.
You try to control everything. If you let it go, you'll feel better. So I'm like, man, okay, cool. Now, then I always go back and forth. Everybody knows he is the biggest Nas fan, right? I am a fan of Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z is the best rapper of all time. He thinks Nas, so we always go back and forth.
Right.
So like I told you, it was Rap City in the basement.
So let me pause the story right here before he do this right here, because this is gonna be hilarious. So at this point in time, Brian is beaten. Mac wakes up to Rap City, but then he falls back to sleep. By this time, we stop playing music, and then Diego's partner, I'm so sorry I can't think of his name. He goes back and was like, "What do you guys like to listen to?" So Rhythm plays, I think some Tribe Called Quest, because she loves Tribe, and then of course I play some Nas. So then I'll let Matt continue the story.
So yeah, so Nas is coming on, and I'm like, I'm still trying to be a little stubborn, and I'm like, maybe if I sit up, I won't feel like I have to throw up. So I sit up, and I'm like, oh man, it still feels like I gotta throw up. Breathe, voice still coming to me. You know, you gotta let it go. You'll feel better. Blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna throw up, I can't throw up sitting down. So like on this cot, you know, I got to get up so I can sit in my chair, have my bag ready and all that. So I get up and I go sit down, and then I ask, I think the girl, I can't remember her name, but for a bag. So she gave me a bag and some paper towels, and I'm sitting there, and I still at this point, I haven't given in to the voice in my head yet that's saying throw up. Right. I'm still slightly trying to fight it, but I'm putting myself in a position that if I gotta do it, if I'm gonna do it, then I'm gonna be in the best position to do it.
Right.
So I sit down, and the voice is coming, and I said, all right, forget it. And as soon as I said get it, here come Nas. Nas and made me throw up. And I mean, I'm going in, and I'm really like, dude, I haven't eaten like in a week for real.
Like where's this stuff coming from for real?
Man, I'm going, right? So I get done in my bag, wipe my mouth and throw the tissue in there, and I, close the bag up. Diego comes and he sits on my cot to talk to me, right, about my experience. Now, he's directly across from me, and to his left is where Dia sits.
Right.
So he's asking me about, what's going on. And I
tell him, the only three people that's conscious of what's going on is me, Diego, and Jimmy. So this is a crucial part to his experience. But go ahead.
Right. This is the crucial part. Getting the divine feminine, letting go, all that, right? So now Spirit wants to test me and see if I
immediately.
The test comes immediately, right?
Yeah.
So he's asking me about, how I'm feeling, whatever. And I'm telling him the story, and him and D are listening or whatever. But I still feel, I'm feeling a little bad, right? So after we had this conversation, we go back for a few minutes, right? And he's telling me some things. I'm like, yeah, that's making a lot of sense. And he's kind of talking about my experience and how important that is, and talking about the ayahuasca with it and the whole nine. So I say, I need to lay down. So he said, okay, and does this and shifts over. Now, I'm 6'2". It's a cot. My feet hanging off the end.
Right.
If I just lay on it, I'll stretch by myself. So he does that. So I wait for about 30 seconds. And then I say again, I need to lay down. So he scoots over a little bit more. So I'm like, dude, need to get up.
Right. Like, what is you doing, bro?
So I can lay down.
Right.
But again, I have my experience. Now I got the lesson. Now here comes the test.
Yep.
I say, forget it. I went down. I laid on the cot next to him. My head is basically in dude's lap. Basically. Right? So some real, again, in my masculine, this ain't cool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I ain't even in the position to even fight.
Right. This man trying to help me through this.
Right. So as soon as I lay down, like I said, my head basically in his lap, he takes his arm and wraps it and puts it over me. And at first I'm like, well, hey, this is all right. And I instantly felt better. And I just said, you know what? Hey, it is what it is. I'm cool. And he kept his arm on me. I don't know how long he was there, but I mean, had a full conversation with D. And I don't know if Rhythm is kind of
nobody else was peeping it. Nobody else was peeping it.
So he just has a full conversation with his arm just on me.
Yep.
And I'm there and I go back out. I'm out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was just one of those things where the experience of the connecting with the divine feminine, that aspect of nurturing.
Right.
I'm having that connection there, and it had to be a male.
Mm-hmm.
Because that being a male was, I got to get over myself.
Right.
In order to receive that. If it had been a woman, it wouldn't have been nothing.
Right. So, and as soon as Mac go back out, Diego get up and start doing something different. You know what I mean? So just to kind of move the story along, it's like 1 a.m. now. I'm gonna say 12:30, 1 o'clock. So we like, yo, we had planned to spend the night there, but again, this condo is a 3-bedroom, is really small. We had a 3-level joint. You know what I'm saying? Me, Mac, and Brian had 2 rooms in the basement. Rhythm stayed up top, and it was a main level. So we got to go back to our spot. Like, we can't stay here. Plus, we got the AC at our crib and all that. We'll have a better experience if we go back to our spot. But the problem is, we on one end of the island, and our spot is in the middle of the island. So it's about a 1.5 mile walk, you know what I'm saying, give or take. Normal day, that's cool. But we've done ayahuasca tea, rape, and ayahuasca itself. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
and we carrying all this stuff back with us. So that to me was the funnest part of the night, man. Just gathering all of our stuff and then going back to our crib. So we get there and everybody's like, yo, we gonna go to bed. We'll wake up the next morning, have some fresh juice, and then we'll have a round table. We kind of have like another orientation like we had that Monday night. So me and Mac are roommates, and I felt like you started feeling better once we got back to the crib and got back to that AC, because we kind of fell asleep, and then we woke up early that morning before everybody else and started talking about our experience and the stuff that me and you've already shared tonight with each other that morning. Talk about that before we went up and had the round table with everybody else.
First of all, that walk back was one of the worst experiences of my life. Because again, I was struggling.
Yeah.
And man, it felt like I had ran 3 marathons. You know what I'm saying? I was just gassed. And the one thing is to get to our spot, right?
It's a hill.
Way uphill, right?
Yep.
So I didn't have to carry my cot back. Like, somebody took my cot back, because I'd have been asleep on the street had I had to take my cot back. Like, it wouldn't have worked. And so Diego is walking with me the whole time. And I'm probably lagging. I'm pretty sure I'm lagging the whole rest of the team by a long distance. And Diego stays with me the whole time. And he carrying all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's talking to me the whole time and asking me questions to kind of get my mind off of it or whatever. And I thought about that the next morning, like, oh, that was cold how he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Because it definitely helped me get to the house. You know, I had to stop several times and like kind of just catch my breath. I mean, I felt winded. It was terrible. And then when we had to go up, so he and I didn't go up the ramp. So you either can go up that steep hill or you can
take the steps.
Now, the steps is terrible, but at least you got a banister there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was able to hold on to that the whole way up and stop probably about 3 or 4 times going up the steps. But yeah, it did feel good being in the bed with that AC kicking.
Yeah.
And the bed was comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Being able to be in that environment. And Diego and everybody stayed at the house.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like he said, we had couch and stuff down there. And then we
Yeah.
had the cots. Some people slept on the cots. People who didn't actually
Wasn't staying there the whole week with us.
exactly. Then there was another couch at the highest level where Rhythm was, so somebody was up there. So just moving, you know, I'm glad Rhythm was actually the one who started that movement of, hey, can we go back to the house?
Yes, she did. Yes, Miss G. I gotta give her
Yeah,
props. That's a fact. That's
and
a
it was
fact.
much more comfortable. Like
It was
miserable getting there.
Yeah.
But I was happy that we were there once we got there, because I did get a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
And you know, we slept until them damn roosters.
Yeah. The roosters woke us up every morning, at least as early as 3:30, as late as like 5:15. Like they was on it. You know what I mean? So we heard them jokers, and then we just got up and just started talking. And then by that time, everybody else woke up, maybe about 6 or 7, and we went upstairs and had like a little round table discussion. Everybody was talking about their personal experience, sharing what the experience was like. Diego talked about, you know, the moment that him and Jimmy and I kind of had that nobody else paid attention to, how important that was, how he needed to get over that, and my experience on how I need to, you know, not run away from my childhood, my youth, be more youthful, you know, try to make sure that I'm always in the position to please that child. Because a lot of times when you become an adult, you lose those kid-like qualities, and those kid-like qualities, that honesty, that just being blunt sometimes and just being overly real, we miss that. The world kind of strips that away from us. So we talked about that amongst other things. I thought it was just a great experience, that morning roundtable discussion. What were some of the highlights from that for you?
I like, you know, Rhythm talking about her experience, the colors, the snakes, you know. When she shared her experience, I was like, that's dope.
Yeah.
You know? And then Brian was like, y'all saw my experience.
Right.
He said all I was doing was throwing up and going to the bathroom the whole night.
Right. And then shout out to Diego, because after we got back to the States, he set up like a consultation with everybody to discuss their experience further, some things that they may have learned, some experiences that they may have went through once they got back home, which I thought was dope. Like, he really stayed in touch with us throughout the whole process and kind of held our hand. And I've talked to other people that have done it before, and they haven't had that type of experience. So I was appreciative to him for that. So that Friday morning recap was dope. And then what was your follow-up? Because I still haven't had it. Everybody else did their follow-up with Diego, but our days got mixed up and times got mixed up, so I didn't have mine. What was your follow-up like with Diego? If you want to share?
Was dope. We talked for about 20, 25 minutes. I know he and Rhythm, I think she said talk for like about an hour.
That sounds like Rhythm, because she's definitely a talker. She go see this and laugh because she know I ain't lying. Yeah.
They talked for about an hour. He sent me some books. He had got off on a couple of things, you know, and I was just, again, reiterating that my experience with ayahuasca tied into my readings, not only like my monthly readings or yearly readings I get with E5, but also with the readings that I've gotten after my initiations. So, you know, it really hit home for me. Again, spirit is going to show up the same way, no matter how you go about accessing spirit.
Right.
If the people you're talking to or dealing with are competent, it's just going to keep showing up in the same way. So it was just a confirmation of what I needed to do. And in response to that, for our podcast for season 2 that starts September 22nd, we're dedicating the entire season to the divine feminine.
That's dope.
Yeah. So we have 6 women that we're going to interview. And that's something different from last season. We didn't do any interviews. But we have several women we're going to interview, and we're going to talk about, you know, the divine feminine. We have, you know, priests of different orishas, and then we also have an ordained elder.
Oh, wow.
In the Christian church, and then we have a lady that's in the Nation of Islam that
that's beautiful.
You know, that kicks some G. Friend of mine, Haya. Shout out to Haya. So
shout out.
Yeah, so that's it. I didn't have that experience and just left it there. You know, I wanted to make sure that I honored that experience and honored the lesson from that experience. So it's something that's going to be ongoing until I've mastered it, but it's something that I'm definitely putting a lot of time and attention on really unraveling. what
Mm.
it is to connect with that feminine energy.
Right. That's dope, man. And I have to be honest with you, man. I've been doing the same thing myself. Just, you know, growing up in my family, everybody know my brother was the jokester, the one that always had fun, laughing all the time. And I've been trying to consciously do that myself, like, joking more with my kids. Cause everybody since I was a kid, man, you so serious. You act like an old man. Like I've been hearing that my whole life. And from that experience, I've been trying to make sure that I'm laughing more. I'm that kid, having those kid-like qualities. Just was, with my sister and my mom this weekend, and just, talking to them and joking with them and just being a little bit more jovial and not so serious all the time. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I think we all learn something, and we're all trying to make sure that we apply those things that we learned while we were there in Panama and had that experience together. And I think it bonded us in a way that we haven't even scratched the surface on understanding how it has bonded us, and how I feel like we have a connection that'll last until our time here on this planet expires. Like it was such a great experience and such a great moment in time that I'll be telling my great grandkids about this. You know what I'm saying? Like I think in ayahuasca, and as we move into the last portion of the conversation, I think ayahuasca, rape, ayahuasca tea. I think this is something that every human being should experience. And when we talk about doing it again, I'll go first. I know I plan on doing it again. We've already started discussing the next time we're going to do it, where we're going to do it at, and those different types of things. But one thing I want to ask you about, we both kind of said no at the time, but my position has changed a little bit. I'll see what you say. Will you do rape again?
Hell no. You know what?
We both said the same thing that morning, but after a month has passed, you know what I mean? I think I would experience it again, maybe in a different dosage amount. I think Diego loaded us up. And shout out to the people that can do cocaine. I don't see how y'all put stuff in y'all nose, man. Like
right.
That, man, I heard my parents and elders like, man, don't never mess with that stuff, this, that, and the third. I'm like, nah, you ain't never have to worry about me mess with that. Like, I don't like stuff in my nose. You feel like you're drowning. So I don't see how y'all do it, but I think I would try it again. Maybe not as the dosage that Diego gave us, but definitely ayahuasca again.
Yeah, I mean, me and Rape, we've dated, and we just realized that we want different things in life. You know what I'm saying? We just came to that conclusion.
Right.
I had to tell Rape, it ain't you, it's me.
Right.
But ayahuasca, I absolutely would do it again. And we've talked about this. I would like to go somewhere where we're there for 5 days or so. Like it's just about ayahuasca, and you do it multiple days in a row.
Absolutely.
I think what we had was a great introduction.
Yes,
a great introduction. But I would like to go to an ayahuasca only trip where we're there somewhere, and we've looked at a couple places, so we're trying to find out, where we can go and just to have that experience. I think that would be dope, where we're there for multiple days in a row.
Yep. And we're doing it multiple days.
Yeah, you really can uncover some things.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to mention that I didn't even put on the timeline, it just hit me. Our original itinerary had a cacao ceremony. And then once we met with Diego and his partner and Dr. Latham, they were saying how, cacao is a much more cleaner because it's a fruit, and it's a certain part of the fruit that you can eat and have a little, kind of a semi-psychedelic type trip. They were saying how, ayahuasca is jealous. It don't like when you mess with nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Rape kind of goes hand in hand with it. So it wasn't bad that we did rape first and then did ayahuasca, but they discouraged us from doing ayahuasca that week. They said if you want to do it another week or two later after, we could. So that's something else we're going to be looking at as well, because Dr. Latham had, thousands of, of cacao there for us to be able to do, but we decided to go against it because of Diego's recommendation. So that's something that we're going to be looking at in the future as well. And if you listen to our episode with Chef Nikki, who's Dave Chappelle's personal chef, on Church After Hours, she talked about some of these same things, about the plant medicines, the ayahuasca, the rape, and how these things work and how these things are useful when done right. And I had the opportunity to speak to her before I went and when I came back and just talk about my experience. So if you're considering doing it, make sure you go with some people you love and trust, and go and enjoy that experience and go and get what's there for you, because you don't know what it is until you actually do it.
Absolutely. And I want to touch base on something that you said, because I don't want people to kind of gloss over it. Where he talked about, ayahuasca being jealous. Like, this is a living plant, right?
Yes.
Like, this is something that our ancestors,
yes,
from time immemorial used, right?
Yep.
Like, so it is a real living plant. And some people say that when you take things like ayahuasca, it never leaves you. So again, this ain't like cocaine, like you gonna walk around and you gonna be, scratching your nose and,
Right,
and
right.
sniffing all the time. No, nothing like that.
Right.
But that experience, that you being open up, like that is just something that's going to always stay with you. And when you least expect it, it might come out. But man, I'm with all of it.
Yeah.
I used to be like, all of it was drugs, if you ask me.
Right.
And I wasn't good with it. But over the years, I've really learned to appreciate the things that our ancestors did.
Yes.
That are taboo now in 2022,
Yep.
So I would suggest everybody, even the rapé, because I know people who do rapé every day and they love it.
And that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Right. They might have done cocaine.
Right.
But that ain't my testimony. So.
That ain't my testimony either. But look, man, this is our experience, our ayahuasca celebration in Panama with our brother Brian, our sister Rhythm, Diego, and his team, and Dr. Latham. It was a great experience. And we, encourage you guys to try it at some point, and this is no shots. I know some of my friends and relatives might see this, but, when you do it, make sure you do it with people you trust, because I hear about people doing it in Cincinnati and Chicago in the basement of their boy's crib. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, to each his own. I just know my experience. I wanted to be in Central or South America, which is where this stuff is found at. And those people have a certain relationship with the plant that a lot of these other people that's doing it don't have. So I'm not knocking nobody's experience and how they choose to get down. I know that's the experience that I wanted and my friends wanted as well. So enjoy it, man. And make sure, like I said, you do it in a safe environment. You do it with people that you trust, because it's all healing. It's all plant medicine. And a lot of this stuff that you take over the counter has some of these things in it anyway, mixed with the other synthetics that these, folks put in it to give to you for whatever quote unquote ailment or pain you may have. So enjoy it. And we look forward to doing this again, whether it's another year, 2 years, when we have our next experience, just to share with you guys, to let you guys know what it was like and what we experienced in Panama. It was a great trip, a great experience, and I can't wait to do it again. Make sure y'all check out our brothers as they get ready to launch season 2. Who Made Y'all Priest next Thursday. You see he got the merch on. Y'all can get some merch now. Matter of fact, I need to send you some bread so I can order my t-shirt. And then we'll be back with Church After Hours the second Sunday in October. We're filming that now. We're gearing up. We got some great things for you guys. So just keep supporting both podcasts. And we wanted to make sure you got a chance to get a sneak peek on what happened in Panama. So anything you got in closing, Mac?
Nah, man, you said it all, man. Just, again, don't be scared to explore. Don't be scared to try, man. Life is all about evolving so you can go forward. So evolve, change, expand your thoughts.
Yes.
Look at this stuff differently. It's not cocaine, heroin. It is medicine that God put on this earth for us to use.
Right. Absolutely. And the people that said, I ain't doing that's going to be on a fellow drug test at work. It ain't nothing to come up on no drug test, because it ain't no drug. So get that out your mind. But until next time, make sure y'all again check out Who Made Y'all Priest next Thursday, as well as Church After Hours, second Sunday, 6 p.m. In October. Peace and blessings.
Peace.